Hello, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on the 9th of October, 2018. It's Tuesday today. Probably my favorite day of the week, trading day of the week. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The sentiment this morning was a little more risk off till about a few minutes ago when the market, or at least the S&P, experienced a small pop. Seeing crude oil leading the pack again today, up 55 cents or 0.74%. The US dollar index is up 29 cents. Gold is up $2.40. The US Treasury bond is up 8 ticks and the Bund is up 5. Allocation is clearly to safety. Risk off, seeing red across the board in terms of indices, equities, and so on. The euro's off 395 pips at 115. A fair amount of news flow overnight. Just keep an eye on that. As far as we're seeing almost the same thing like day after day after day. I'll go over what I mean in a minute. But we're seeing this market that is dropping overnight, and then testing and dropping during the day, and then buying up on size into the close. It appears to be doing a pretty darn good job of testing out the bottom. This is almost like a foundation engineer taking a pile driver and just seeing if the ground is strong enough. That's what it looks like to me. Sorry about the construction analogies, my background, but that's it. I can just see right through it. But we'll look at that in a minute. As far as what could interrupt our auction today, in terms of releases, not really seeing anything on deck. Fed Speaker Kaplan has been speaking. We get ECB Speaker Villeroy at 9:30 Eastern at the cash open. We get BOE Speaker Broadbent and BOE Speaker Carney. Broadbent at 10:35 Eastern and Carney at 2 p.m. Eastern. And that's really it. The calendar's fairly clear today. Let's take a look at what we expected yesterday versus what we got. Here's what our expectations were for yesterday. Overall, just the main idea ended up working out, but the market really pushed farther than expected on the upside. The expectation was for an open auction that pushes into the prior point of control, 28.89 and a quarter, impulse down, consolidate, impulse down into 28.69 with 28.66 beneath it. This is a cluster right here. Pretty good foundation material, or pretty good support material, and then it pops back in. And it finishes back up into the range of Friday. That was the primary expectation. Here's what actually happened. So a lot of rotations, a lot of noise. So you're going to have to look at a lot of bars. But this is what we got. We got an open auction up, down that establishes the opening swing as 28.83 down to 28.78. And then we pop through and get right up into that point of control from here. I expected it to drop, and like you saw, expect an impulse down, consolidate near lows, and an impulse down again before it finishes somewhere in there, 2880 or so. It tended to extend a little bit farther. It pushed to 2893 right off the get-go, right off the push from the opening swing high. There was very, very little to go off of in terms of areas to get long, although it was clearly obvious, and I repeated multiple times in CT chat, that we just don't want to fade this. We don't want to get short this move up. But the only real opportunity to see who was winning the fight was right there, the extension of the opening swing high, and then a very shallow pullback. Couldn't quite get to mid or open or VWAP in the stock zone. This was the only potential area to get long for me, a structured long, and then it just took off, and then we ended up with a double top at the top, fairly weak high, double top at the top before it just decided to roll over and push down into the 2866 stock zone, as you see there. So we bounced back and forth into the prior low, higher low, and it just balanced for a while, shifted the point of control down, and then started to extend up again. So if we look at these zigzags, you could see that all of a sudden we get an extension up, and so now we're looking for the point of control to be retested, the point of control potentially on the first test, potentially giving us a quick short. Here it goes as it pushes for the low again, unable, stops just 2 ticks short of the low. It just looks like just a disaster at this point. But as we push forward, it starts to get into the IB, and it blows right through the mid there. Just tough trade into the close, to be honest. It just seemed to be operating on something other than its own auction process. So we end up, remember, 2893 was a double top. There's the double top break. So the double top stat is done. We are neutral on the day. And then we shift the point of control back up from down here back up to there. So we're neutral. We are technically neutral extreme, but there's no real extension upwards. Difficult to call. The point of control is in the upper quartile of the range, but the point of control is also inside of the IB, making it neutral normal with an extreme close. So this close here is fairly strong. Notice the close is right on top of that MC point of control again. It's just a tick below the prior day's close, which was 2894. And it's just a crowded area right here. And in the overnight session, it just upticked 1 tick before it fell back off. And it's currently trading lower, currently trading, what is going on here? Currently trading at 2884. So overall, here's where the current line is. Overall, just messy. It's trading all the way through the range. So if you look at this, if you look at how it's trading, how it's establishing value with this profile, the volume that's going off, you can easily tell. That it's not able to find consensus, and we've been doing this for several days. So let's look at the big picture for a second. Oh, that's the overnight. Let's look at the big picture for a second to see what it's trying to establish. So this is what consensus looks like. Consensus looks like this, looks like that, looks like that. No real consensus here. That's definitely consensus right there. Consensus and so on. So those are balanced days, right? These are balanced days. But when you have a double distribution, and since that day, last Wednesday, I believe, since last Wednesday, it's just been these stretched profiles that have volume trading all the way through. Week high, trading all the way through. Week high, trading all the way through. Very, very boxy profiles. These are, and the volume's been quite a bit higher. So you see the volume down here is really exceeding what we have seen for quite some time, right? The point of control of volume is at 1.19 million. And when we look at what we produced last Thursday, we had 1.8 million trade. This is pit session only, 1.89 million trade. And yesterday, 1.48 million trade versus 1.19 million, which is the mode of the data that we have going back to July 20th of 2015, quite some time. I think about 800 days or so. So that's what we have. We have this market that's just chiseling out a low. And since this top day here last Wednesday, we have basically been in a one-time frame down. We've been one-time framing down and pushing lower. Now let's look at the overnight for an idea of what these things look like. So if I switch the overnight into, let's choose some other periodicity. Let's do 60 minutes. Okay. So these don't look very different, but let's make the overnight session blue, a bright blue. So the profiles, these horrible looking dark blue with black, are overnight. The gray with black are day session. Day session is defined as a pit session. If you look at what's going on here, it's kind of a repeating pattern that we've had since that top day on the 3rd. What happens is we end up taking a dive overnight, and then, well, it starts right here, really. We end up taking a dive overnight, and then during the day, we push up, push down, and back up again. Today, we're taking a dive, we're pulling back up a little bit, and then the day session probably will push up, push down, and then come in strong on the close, like right here. Take a dive overnight, day opens, push down, push back up, strong on the close. And when we look at the closes, so the overnight session, well, while we're at it, let's take a look at the last night's overnight session. When we look at the overnight session, we see yet again we have a market that's just dropping throughout the night, coming back up with a profile that has very little in terms of consensus. Let me just fix these colors. They're just horrible. Let's brighten this up a little bit. So this light blue here is the overnight, and the gray with black is the day session. The overnight session is a lot longer. The extended hour session is a lot longer. And what we have in the extended hour session is, again, another profile that's just a mess of volume all the way through. No real balance here. The overnight session has been structurally much more active, and much more interesting to trade actually than the day session. It's just running through bar by bar. The structure is a lot better. So that's that's what we've been seeing over and over. Now, with regards to my comment on how we finished strong, I only show one day yesterday, But again, during yesterday's Trader Bite, which you might want to review later, you'll see that this yellow line represents 200 lots, 201 contracts in a trade or higher in this consolidated tape tick data. So we reconstruct the trades from the CME's feed, not using a timestamp or anything, using the actual tick ID. And we can see that the very large lots, again, not participating to the sell side, even though the market pushed up to, 28.93, rolled over, pushed all the way down to 28.66. That's, quite a bit of range for the ES, but the very large lots are just not participating to the downside. And once the market starts turning up, you see them coming back in. So it goes a little bit down, goes flat, and then as soon as the prices start going up, boom, very large lots start becoming active again. Okay, so that's, to me, that's just really important. The orange that you see here are the smaller lot traders. They are 5 lots or less per order, per trade. And yesterday there were sellers all the way into the close, all the way. So the smaller lots are selling into the larger lots that are going with price. Price is pushing higher, larger lots becoming active, and we see sellers selling into the size into the close. So just need to pay attention to that a little bit. To me, that's more of an indication. What does it all mean? Well, what's my point? My point is, it looks like it is seeking a bottom, and it looks like the larger traders, larger participants are becoming active as prices go lower. Larger participants are becoming active, which is characteristic of a market that's seeking a bottom and is likely to find it. So we do have, like I said, one-time framing down on a daily basis, but this is likely to break soon, in my opinion. This morning, I'm looking for an open auction. We're opening right back where we finished yesterday. I'm looking for a move down to 28.77 or so, push the overnight low into 28.73. I'm looking for an impulse higher, consolidate, and I'm looking for the one-time framing down to break today. I'm looking for the day trend to potentially attempt to reverse to the upside, and then for it to seek out to push out to 29.06, which is the SOC for non-farm payrolls on Friday. That's the primary scenario. Okay. Based on the context of what I just talked about, which is a little bit hard to explain, but I'm looking for this to start basing today and to move higher, even though we're sentiment overall is bearish. Secondary, push, have an open auction, push to the point of control, consolidate, potentially poke through that overnight high at 28.94, and then have an impulse down and start walking its way down into the high volume node left behind from yesterday to finish somewhere in the middle. These are the two key plays. The third play is an open, test up, drive lower. Fourth play, open, test down, drive higher. But why am I expecting this reversal and potential drive? Excuse me. Throat's very dry. It's because of how we've been finishing. It's because of what we're doing. It's because of the lack of consensus in these profiles. This is not something that you see on bar charts. You see it only in the volume profile. And because we have that lack of consensus and the market is seeking out a bottom, like I said, it's trying to chisel through and find bedrock with every lower low, we see higher and higher participation. And at some point, that bedrock is likely to be found. We're likely to see the market find that buyer and rotate back up. Does that mean we'll go to all-time highs? Not likely. Not sure. It has to do a lot to get back up there, but really we haven't come off the all-time highs by much. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for today. I'm looking for to move down, retest that low, and then start to rotate up. I know a lot of people are calling for 2820, 40, 2800, and so on, and that's fine. That's why we're traders. You take a position, I take a position, I define my stop, and I'll happily take my stop if I'm wrong. But today, I'm going to be looking for that impulse higher, and I'm looking for the one-time framing to end today. Anyway, I know don't just take my word for it. Wait for the market to set that up. I'm not going to sit here and hunt for longs all day as it drops. Don't be stupid now. Follow your plan. I'm willing to play whatever scenario is coming my way. I'm just simply detailing what the bigger scenarios are. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.